Coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomeme in Accra. This is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni. Now, my son is somewhere. My wife is in another place. Words of deposed Gabon President Ali Bongo as he cries for help, urging the world to speak against Wednesday's coup that removed him from power.
People here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere. My wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on.
Details as the Peace Council says it will do its best to maintain the peace Ghana enjoys. Now, African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child rules that Ghana has questions to answer in the case where a taboo prevents menstruating girls from crossing the River Ofin on Tuesdays. Now, the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Child has ruled that the government of Ghana has some questions to answer in the case where a taboo prevents girls from crossing the River Ofin on Tuesdays and also when they are menstruating. Joy News' features editor Jojo Kobna and the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, an NGO, banded together and filed a lawsuit against the Ghanaian government for allowing archaic cultural practices to continue and failing to protect the girls' rights to education. Having fulfilled all grounds of admissibility, the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of the Children has ruled that it will proceed to consider the merit of the case. We bring you excerpts of the story.
Through the school register shows the full story. Many girls who live across the river are absent from school. Young girls are now questioning this blatant discriminatory practice.
The boys no more school na boys no more and more woman saints almost me co school. Ekusuan de egu ye nchi na almost ya adiesin ye ne girls nancy.
According to the girls, the boys do better in school because of this archaic belief.
Ubun sabaya 5 days or 4 days want me go school ebi obuko school ebi to obuko school kra na omosuan de egu echi ne musuan na wuni bia ba ye de ba exams kra na no want me anye enti e problem e da ye ni girls aye tibaka pa hospital.
To give girls the best education, some parents have rented rooms in Chichere so the girls would return to them on weekends and when they are not menstruating.
Me bad doctors say why yi kakra say asan say on to me go school in blood antina me say on go eklom say anso boys for mu say wo mu anka kra dia na say eklom dia anka metumi ahwe no su yi.
Now, also joining me is a legal practitioner and acting executive director of the Institute, Edmond Foley. You're welcome to join us here. I want to find out from you, how significant is this ruling to the right of the girl child?
Thank you very much, and a warm good evening to you and all our listeners and viewers. This is quite a significant development, especially for the provisions of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, over which this committee, of course, exercises its mandate, because it is addressing an issue of harmful cultural and social practices affecting children in Africa. The committee has had occasion to look at other issues such as child marriage, but this is quite a unique one. And so we are grateful that the committee is looking at considering this case on its merit, to see how it can also support the government of Ghana to ensure that the proper thing is done for these girls.
So I want to find out from you, at what point do we draw the line between taboos or cultural practices and the law, in this case, for instance? Because we do know that across many communities in this country, such taboos do exist. So where do we draw the line between taboos and the law?
Right. And so the African Children's Charter is very clear in its terms that the state has an obligation to ensure that cultural practices, traditions, and taboos, and as you call it, do not unduly, or you could say even clearly, impinge on the rights of the child. And this is both boys and girls. So to the extent that girls cannot go to school every day, to the extent that there are fears that, as the chief indicated, if a woman tried to cross the river, something could happen, that the society could be harmed, and all of those things. One must also bear in mind that culture is dynamic. And just down the river from Chechire, there is a bridge where women cross, and there doesn't appear to be any problem. But why do we have a different situation in Chechire? As your report indicated, there is illegal mining going on clearly, as you can see. And so what this decision would help the government of Ghana to do is to also bring to the table with the community around or communities around River Ofin a very dispassionate discussion about, look, we are not stopping your beliefs, but we must also appreciate that it is affecting a very significant constituent of your society, and it is going to have a ripple effect on them in the future if they are not able to go to school and are exposed to sexual violence, as a mother was indicating.
All right. So are you looking at some punishment for the authorities there, the local authorities, or you'd want the case to fully go through? What are you looking forward to?
In fact, the outcome of this is not punishment at all. When the committee considers an issue on the merits, what they make are what we call recommendations to the government. It's recommendations for the state to take action. Yes, in law, these recommendations are not binding. But if you look at the practice of states, and Ghana has quite a good record when it comes to its human rights obligations, we would expect that certain measures will be taken quickly to give effect to those recommendations that will come from the committee. Some of the things we've asked for instance, is that a bridge be constructed, schools be actually built on the other side of the river so that the children do not have to cross, for instance.
All right, so finally, beyond the community where this issue actually happened, public awareness on matters like this appears to be, on the low. What would be your recommendation going forward with regards to how we make these issues known across the country so we can reduce some of these cases?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, what you are doing now is a very good opportunity that the media takes such an issue forward, and we are providing the education. Definitely, this is something we can also work through SRAJ, through NCCE, to ensure that the public is aware of some of these practices. And then also, of course, through our own community engagement structures. We have the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to take the lead in educating Ghanaians about the existence of some of these practices and how we can, as a community, review the way we approach some of these cultural issues so as not to unduly affect the population.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foley, for speaking to us here on Joy Prime. We're so grateful. Now, moving on from the story, residents of 3 communities in the Adansi North district of the Ashanti region have staged a demonstration against a local quarry mining company for allegedly causing damage to their property and exposing them to health risks. Clad in red and black, the residents of Patakro, Kwepia and Uyoso are prevailing on the Environmental Protection Agency and the local assembly to call Akos Jomo Quarry Company to order. There's more in the following report.
Residents of the 3 communities affected by the operations of the quarry company poured onto the streets to express their anger at the adverse impact of the quarry mine on their livelihoods. Spokesperson Kwame Jesse alleged the company's operations has led to the destruction of farms, buildings and other household equipment in Kwapia, Patakro and Rioso without receiving compensation. He says the company has also failed to engage the community on the environmental and health impacts of the quarry on residents.
Payment of crop compensation. The quarry company, Akos Jomo, is said to destroy we the people of Kwapia and its neighborhood communities, farm crops and land, and as we speak now, the people has not been compensated. 2. No proper arrangement and talks with the community. The said company, Akos Jomo, has already started operation for years now, and as we speak, they have not been proper talks with the community as a whole and the tradition leaders as well as district reps. Improper processing procedure, that is blasting of chipping, due to inappropriate processing method of blasting, it disturbs the people and also destroys properties.
A resident and victim of the quarry operation, Reverend Charles Atapa, who has worked on a mine for close to 20 years, says the quarry firm is failing to heed to standard operations. He has called on the Environmental Protection Agency to intervene.
And the problem we are facing now, the assemblyman, the honorable assemblyman, who is to lead there so that we can solve our problem, is employed in the company. He's the PR. So when you go with your problem, it's so I've been there several times, and up to now, there is no any response. So we are begging the agencies through the media that they should come and then assist us. If not, it will be a problem.
Other aggrieved residents shared similar concerns.
I know some quarry firm who relocate residents and compensate them afterwards, but this is not the same with this firm. Our properties are getting damaged due to their activities.
About 4 months ago, my electrical appliances have become faulty. Last week, my building almost collapsed after the blast. It even threw my daughter out of the house.
Managers of the Obuasi Quarry company are yet to respond to the concerns of the residents. For Joy News, Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
All right, my son is somewhere. My wife is in another place, where there are words of deposed Gabon President Ali Bongo as he cries for help, urging the world to speak against Wednesday's coup that removed him from power. He's currently under house arrest, but has been speaking via video, urging his supporters to create awareness about his situation. Early army officers appeared on TV to say they had taken power. They said they are annulling the result of Saturday's election, in which Mr. Bongo was declared winner, claiming there were issues of fraud. Now, the officers also said they had arrested one of Mr. Bongo's sons for treason. Ali Bongo's overthrow will end his family's 53-year-old power in Gabon. Here is the deposed President Ali Bongo urging the world to speak against the coup.
I'm Ali Bongo Ondimba, President of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world, to tell them to make noise, For the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence and nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you. Thank you.
We have been joined via Zoom by a Gabonese national who has agreed to speak to us on condition of anonymity. Now, we want to find out from you, what is the latest in Gabon regarding the coup?
Good evening.
Good evening.
In fact, yeah. In fact, the coup arrived last night after the election result given by the committee of presidential election, and after this result, we just heard that a coup was undergoing. We heard some noise from the town centers, and they start saying that there is a coup.
Okay.
Yeah, we woke up this morning with this coup. So for the moment, as you tell us, the president is in residence and his son is arrested, and some of the government members also are arrested at this moment.
All right. So we hear also that a curfew has been imposed. Can you confirm that?
Yes, I can confirm. Before the result of election, the curfew was undergoing, and the militaries just reconduct the same. So it's from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay, so earlier in the day we heard that the military was going to have some meeting to decide on the way forward. Do we know whether that meeting has ended, and has there been any announcement so far?
No, they just did the announcement saying that the president of the transition will be one general of army, which is Oligui Nguema. He's a guy from Otogwe in the south of Gabon, and also from north of Gabon. So his mother is from south, and his father is from north of Gabon.
Okay, so you're saying he has been announced as the new leader now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They announced that they have one president of the transition, who is this general.
Okay, all right. So let's find out from what the political parties in the country have been saying so far. Have they been able to issue any statement with regards to what I mean, the developments in Gabon so far?
No, for now, what I can say from all we understood and we heard from this morning, any political person gave his commentary regarding this situation. And I want to add that we greet the wisdom of Gabonese people, because from 1993 we have been going to election. We have been going to election, do all processes to go to election. Even if the teachers, we have been continue, because we trust that the election way is the way to take the power, to give back the power to the population.
All right, so we see there's a lot of excitement in Gabon. We'll leave it here. We'll come to you another time for more on this. But let's move on, where the Honorary Consul of Ghana to Gabon, Mandi Sethu, is urging Ghanaians living in Gabon to register with the consulate. How safe are Ghanaians in Gabon as we speak with regards to this particular coup d'etat that occurred today?
Good evening, and thank you for calling us to inquire about the situation of Ghanaians in Gabon. The situation right now is very calm. It has been calm since this morning, since the coup d'etat was announced.
So, share with us, do we know the number of Ghanaians in Gabon as we speak?
Before COVID, we were more than 4,000 Ghanaians here. But COVID hit, the world economic situation became bad. A lot of Ghanaians were aging in Gabon. They've been out of the country for a long while. And so many of them opted for a return home. And now we are down to about 2,200 Ghanaians spread all over the world.
Right. So do you have any evacuation plans for the Ghanaians there, just in case things turn the other way around?
First of all, if evacuation plans have to be implemented, those plans come from home. It is the Ghana government who would say that something is going to be done. And I work under the Ghana Embassy in Malabo, Guinea Equatorial. So they would work with Ghana, and we will simply get instructions that have been given by the government. What happened today is those Ghanaians who are in Gabon and who have never registered with the consulate, we're calling to ask how they register with the consulate, because they are not in Libreville, they are out of town, they are about 700 kilometers from the center, and they wanted to know how they could register with us in case something happened. But
right.
We prayed nothing.
So you're asking them to register with the consulate, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so beyond that, what interim are you putting in place? Just in 30 seconds, what measures are you putting in place? Have you visited homes? Have you made calls to the Ghanaians there?
Nobody is going anywhere at this point. The Gabon refused to have they refused to have foreign journalists and refused for observers. And so I have a green number plate. This is not exactly the time that you want to be riding around town, because somebody would mistake the reason for your going out. So we have the Ghanaian Association, that is a very active association, very efficient in what they do, and they are the ones who are keeping the contact with the Ghanaians. And people are calling in People are also calling in to know how everything is going. So there is, there's some cohesion, even though we are not together physically, but we are keeping each other informed about how everybody else is doing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Now, Director of Faculty for Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Kwesi Anen, says multilateral institutions have failed in their responsibilities.
The sense of being a member of a multilateral institution is that those institutions can serve as checks and balances on how states behave and can moderate state behavior to ensure that they comply with the rules that they have set for themselves. We saw how Mr. Bongo, in his wobbly state, fidgeted with the Constitution, people drummed and danced, and we are seeing Macky Sall deliberately manipulating the process, in which he claimed that he's not running for a third term, but the opposition leader has been thrown into jail, the opposition party banned, and ECOWAS is quiet, and the African Union is quiet. Now, when these institutions cannot moderate the behavior of Mr. Macky Sall, and something happens in Senegal, then they do not have the moral authority to come and read the normative frameworks. And we are seeing a similar tendency happening also in Cameroon. So our institutions have a critical role to play in helping to prevent these excesses that lead to military rule. Militaries take up guns long, way after the coups have taken place. Way after civilians in power have manipulated constitutions, been corrupt, undermined, public processes, and basically hollowed out the state. When it happens that then coups have already taken place, the military only uses a gun to give it the final.
Meanwhile, security consultant with the African Union, Colonel Festus Abuaje retired, says AU and ECOWAS have been inconsistent in handling the numerous coup d'etats on the continent.
The AU was on the 14th of August when the PSC, Peace and Security Council, pronounced itself on the coup in Niger and supported the ECOWAS decisions on imposing sanctions and so on, but fell short of supporting the ECOWAS idea of an intervention in Niger. And I've been pointing out that the AU decision not to 100% support the ECOWAS decision means that ECOWAS is lacking political support. And that decision is not very popular within the continent. Because the PSC decision was arrived at because 4 out of the 5 political regions of Africa were not in favor of the ECOWAS decision to use force to unseat the CNSP in Niger. In that AU communique, some of us are pointing out to the African Union that both the AU and the ECOWAS are being inconsistent, because in 2013, the African Union is on record as agreeing for the Central African Republic to go through a 3 or so year transition. Now, why do you allow one country on the continent to go through a transition, and then you turn to another country in Africa and you say, we cannot allow you to go through transition? All of that does not even address the idea of civilian unconstitutionality.
Now, still on Gabon, our research team has been looking into development in that country. My colleague Kofi Eje is here with what we have on that. So what do we have?
Well, so there we have him there, Ali Bongo, son of Omar Bongo, who is now the deposed president of Gabon, saying that his friends should start making noise because he's been given a house arrest over there. This Ali Bongo, he won the just ended 2023 presidential election of Gabon with more than 64%. This was declared by the Electoral Commission in Gabon. Okay. By the opposition, that about 18 of them threw their support behind Osa, who is the former, education minister. He served with Ali Bongo, who was then the defense minister under his father's regime. He was then the defense minister, and Osa was then the education minister, so they know each other very well. Now, the opposition are not happy with the results, where we've seen that internet was actually, shut down, there was cut in terms of power, and there was no proper monitoring of the election in terms of international observation. So if you look at this data, for instance, the election was actually between Ali Bongo and Albert Ondo, just like I said, Osa. And he and his father have been ruling Gabon for the past 5 decades. His father ruled for 42 years, and he himself has been in power since 2009. And there's some sort of, some interesting clause in the Gabonese constitution where a president can actually, be president forever, so far as you keep winning elections.
No limitations at all.
Absolutely. In Ghana, you need 50% plus 1 as majority to win election. But in Gabon, the standards were relaxed in April to say that we don't want any form of, runoff anymore. So once you have majority, whether it's 49%, 48%, you go ahead to win the election. We saw same happening in 2016, where the opposition were not happy with the situation. They ended up going to ban part of their parliament in 2016 when Ali Bongo was seeking his second term. Now, there have been some sort of reactions. What are the coup leaders saying? They are saying that, Ali Bongo is just like any ordinary Gabonese citizen right now. He is retired. According to them, he is retired. I mean, he's 64 years, so they feel he's retired. Exactly. He will enjoy all of his rights, and he's just like a normal, Gabonese. And currently, he's not the president. They've actually put him under house arrest. If you look at the next slide, we've seen some reactions from France, for instance. They are not happy with the current happening. They say Paris condemns the coup in Gabon and wants the election result to be respected. The election result that, according to the opposition, were leading before we saw some of these power cuts and all of those things, and later on saw that the current president said he was leading. Now, if you look at what Commonwealth, now you ask yourself, Gabon is a francophone country. Why are we talking about Commonwealth?
Exactly.
Commonwealth actually admitted Gabon and then Togo as the 55th and 56th countries as member countries to join them. They are saying that they are not also happy with the situation. They feel that there are some rules and regulations that member countries must uphold, and they feel that that is not what they are seeing in Gabon, and so constitutional rules should be reinstated. Let's look at the last one that probably maybe we are all not expecting. Russia has been reacting to this coup. What are they saying? They say Moscow has received a concerned report of a sharp deterioration in the internal situation in a friendly African country. So here, Russia is referring to Gabon as a friendly African nation and say they are studying the situation and they hope that the situation will get back to normal in a very speedy manner.
Wow.
So we've seen those are the reactions and what we know so far. So what we know is that the president is currently under house arrest, and we've seen reactions from, not just from France, but also from Russia. And so we asked a very simple question: is Gabon going to form an alliance with Chad, who is also under a military rule, and then also Niger and Burkina Faso? This is a fresh story, and we are, keeping tabs on it. We'll bring you more updates later.
Thank you so much. I say Kofi J, my colleague here in Joy Newsroom. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Now, the National Council of the governing MPP has decided a special election will be conducted on Saturday to break the tie between Boachi, Ejako and Adainimo. However, it has scaled down the number of delegates to participate in this election to only members of the National Council. According to the party, the decision is to cut costs among other reasons. General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodia, also indicated that the National Council has overruled the provision barring government appointees from becoming agents. He spoke to the media after the National Council and National Executive Committee meeting.
Today, National Council, which is the body that constituted the Presidential Election Committee, varied Section 25 of the rules and guidelines by the Presidential Elections Committee to read that, yes, there will be a rerun, but the rerun, the delegates will not be the special delegates or the delegate that constituted the special delegate. But however, the National Council will break the tie, meaning that members of the National Council are going to be the delegates for the elections on Saturday. And the reason being that, as you all know, the superdelegates has membership including our external branches who came from far and near to come and cast their votes, and some of them have left. And also the constitution of our party under Article 10.3 gives the National Council the power to take decisions in the best and well-being of the party. And it's based on that the National Council has taken that decision, one, to save costs, and also to make sure we get it done as quickly as possible. So on Saturday, the rerun will happen at the national headquarters, and I know in due course the Presidential Elections Committee will give you the details. Again, National Council also overruled the decision by the Elections Committee, which agreed with the aspirants that government appointees, party officers and MPs cannot be agents for aspirants.
Meanwhile, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entry Bocheko, says he finds it perplexing that Alan Tremanton and his team are claiming victims of abuse. According to him, supporters of Alan Tremanton equally heckled Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu during the elections in the Ashanti region, hence should not be those raising the allegations. He said the election was peaceful, hence should not be tainted. Meanwhile, Chairman of the NPP Disciplinary Committee, Amuakwata, says his committee will subject the claims to thorough scrutiny and punish those found culpable. There's more in the following report by my colleague Samuel Mbura.
According to Ashanti Regional Chairman, the election was peacefully conducted and should not be marred by the isolated cases of violence. Chairman Wontumi, who made these remarks during the National Executive Committee and National Council's meeting, said the Vice President is the preferred candidate to lead the party because of his performance.
Let me tell you, I was there personally. I was there personally when the Majority Leader was coming, and then Alan people was hooted at him. And
they hooted at him in the Ashanti region?
Yes, they was attacking him.
Why?
They was attacking him. So if the same people want to, nicodemously want to turn themselves to complain, I find it very perplexed. That's the same people who can hoot at somebody can also change yourself into the lesson. We have had a good success, beautiful elections, and it's a very peaceful. This is what I think we should talk about.
Majority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, while confirming his alleged heckling by the supporters of Alan Tremanton, said it was triggered by a comment he made about the conduct of the elections.
When I go to the grounds, somebody then raise the issue. This is Chairman Mensah-Bonsu. On the banner, on no say we be 70% of contestants will be 70%, and me and two baby. Now more heckle no. I heard that comment.
But do you know the person who said that?
I didn't look because it was of no material benefit.
Did that worry you?
It didn't worry me because I thought it was sheer pedestrianism and people were contriving to bring violence. So you ignore them because there was no truth in that.
But Chairman of the NPP Disciplinary Committee, Amuakwata, said despite the isolated cases and infractions recorded, the election was peaceful. He, however, assured his committee will investigate the claims of misconduct and apply the appropriate sanctions.
No, the fact that we recorded one or two infractions doesn't mean that we should throw our arms in desperation. Okay, generally it was peaceful. I mean, 99 point something % peaceful, even though we were all expecting 100% peaceful situation. But
are you assuring us that your committee will look into issues and then come out with a report?
That is obvious. I don't need to talk about that because that's what we are supposed to do. Once something happened and it has been referred to us, the committee will go into it. That's why I say I will not comment on it.
Are you ready to crack your whip on whether it's culpable?
That one, wait. When we get to the bridge, we shall cross it.
The MPP members who have been hauled before the disciplinary committee for misconduct after the superdelegates election include Raphael Patrick Safo, Charles Dochi Ado, Musa Sulemana and Hobson Adoye. The committee is yet to set a date for the hearing of the case. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Becky Bex, you're looking good, man.
You too. I was just talking about this green is fantastic. You should, give it to me.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
After the show.
Yeah.
But what's in the news?
We have, September is just 2 days away.
Mm-hmm.
And so September has been officially declared as Tourism Month. There was a launch about why this needs to happen at this particular time. And so we spoke to the Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mark Okweku-Mantey.
GTA is 50 years. And so on this anniversary note, I declare this year's Tourism Month duly launched.
We thank God for September because most of our traditional festivals actually sit between September and October. And so our traditional festivals are good. They get us to travel. It brings unity because even if I'm not somebody from that town, like Nana Press Place, I'm not from that side of the country, but I go there, I experience the environment. It creates bonds amongst or between ethnic groups. We chose September as a month for domestic tourism or tourism month for Ghana because World Tourism Day is actually within September.
Under the auspices of the Ministry of Tourism, GT has done very well by making sure that March and December is actually selling the heritage of Ghana and bringing global eye to Ghana. Apart from this World Tourism Day being in September, is it also a strategic way to whip up the interest for December in Ghana?
Yes, it is strategic. Technically, we are supposed to have one major promotion for every quarter so that the weight will not be only on the last quarter because of December. So these are some of the steps to make sure that almost every quarter will have a big activity that will promote tourism made in Ghana. And so this is one of them, and we chose September because World Tourism Day is within September. Yes.
Well, that's Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Mark Okweku-Mantey. We also spoke to the CEO of Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyemang, and this is what he thinks about this development.
March is the Heritage Month, Culture Month, but September, because we have the World Tourism Day in September. Every year, 27 September is World Tourism Day, so we celebrate it. And we've also been doing things with the Kwame Nkrumah birthday, which is the 21st. And then we work with the Kwawu Professionals Network to do Yenko Kwawu. And so looking at all the things that are happening, the fact that we have a fashion, we have the Asoglian Festival, you have so many other festivals, the Ghana Open Golf Tournament by the Tama Center of the World Golf Club, all these things happening. So we realize that, yes, we have the Heritage Month, but since September is World Tourism Day, Let's make it a full month of activity and invite the private sector, the traditional councils to once again work with us to improve upon it. And so far it's going well. Next month, which is September, we have the paragliding festival, the Yenko Kwewu, and all the various festivals that I've mentioned happening.
Well, let's move away from tourism here in Ghana. Let's talk about Nigerian musician Iyanya. Remember Iyanya?
Yes, I do.
He's been in the news for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is because he's been opening up about the fact that he almost committed suicide because of bankruptcy. Let me also remind you that E-Vibes new season is here. It's starting this weekend on Joy News and on Joy Prime. And our first guest is musician Chief One. He'll be telling us all about his life lessons, his journey to the top, why he chose music, and there's a lot to, listen to.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah. So I think that everybody should look forward to that. The dates this weekend, Saturday on Joy News, 8:30 a.m. right before News File. And then on Joy Prime, it's in the evening, 4:30 p.m. sharp. The part 1 or part A of Chief One's story will be aired.
Nice one. Nice one. Great.
Will you watch?
Sure. I definitely go.
Have you ever seen E-Vibes before? It's the biggest show.
Yeah, I've been watching actually. I've been watching. All right.
You love it.
So make time to watch E-Vibes when it's on air. That's all we have time for. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.